Let's talk about creating safe spaces in Castro.
Did somebody say recovery?
Let's talk about meetings, sex and recovery.
Sober sex? Did somebody say dick?
Let's talk about mental health. Let's talk about
Welcome. You are at the CCC.
Where there are no outside issues with Bonnie Violet.
Lulu,
Anthony,
Kim?
and
and me, Eric.
it's a full house. Go ahead, Bonnie.
Each week we will provide and create a brave space where we engage in conversations around topics of sobriety.
And our intention is to hold and inspire better spaces for people in recovery.
but before we do that, like, subscribe, share, and comment.
Like. Right on.
Ding the bell.
Right on. How's everybody doing? It's like let's start with Bonnie. And Bonnie, where are you? Where in the world is Bonnie San Diego?
Well, I am with Eric, and we are in Chelsea. That is in Manhattan. For folks who might not know.
How's everyone doing?
I'm wonderful. It's like, well, since we started with Bonnie, it's like, briefly tell us about what y'all doing in New York, huh?
Well, we were just at a recovery retreat this weekend. For addicts and stuff and
stuff.
And so we're just hanging out. Like I get to hang out with them for like the week, and so It's been really cool. We went to this anniversary meeting last night, which was like amazing. Like I'd never been to a meeting quite like that. There was like 17 people celebrating anywhere from 2 to 18 years.
Right.
Nice.
That's really nice.
Yeah, that's
It was
very
so
cool.
powerful. There were like family members and sponsors that were giving chips
And sponsees giving chips. And
Oh, wow.
It's probably the most diverse recovery room I've ever been in.
Did you make any friends? Any friends?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Celebration. And welcome back, Eric.
Hi, I'm so happy to be back. Yes, thank you for having me.
Right on. And Anthony, Kim. Well, let's ask Miss Kim. We haven't seen you in a while. Welcome back too.
Yeah, thanks. I'm happy to be here. Happy to be on the mic in the middle of all this.
Yeah?
Yeah.
We're going to stay close to the mic?
Yeah.
Kim has, she sits too far back.
Yeah, I do. I'm a small person.
Well, because Kim is so wonderful. She's like, you start talking and then she turns to you because she's like intense. She's in, she's focused on
engaged.
I try to be present.
Present, exactly. That's what I was looking for.
Look at your face, because I never used to look at people's faces before. I just have
that's deep.
Hello, that's
pretty
true.
deep.
And what about you, Anthony? How was your week?
Oh, pretty good. I have these. So I moved not too long ago, and I have these damn boxes that I can't manage to get out of my place. So I've been doing it incrementally. Yeah, I know it's a success if I even brush my teeth sometimes. But so yeah, that's been my week. Just been really busy.
I relate so much. I moved to New York 3 months ago, and I'm still going through stuff. I just have a bedroom, literally.
Sometimes it takes a long time to unpack that.
Oh yeah,
stuff,
yeah.
Well,
be easy on yourself. It's okay.
Oh,
I think you're like me because we were talking about astrological signs. We're Virgos. I'm like this. One of the things it says, and I don't fall completely, but one of the things it says is like, I am not going to take something out of that box and put it in a temporary place. When I take it out of the box, I'm moving it to the place I want to leave it at. And so it's like, there's something to be said, taking your time. Like I moved in March, and last week, I think I told you guys, I finally emptied that last box. And I'm all, yeah. But I also tossed out a lot, and I ended up buying a lot of new stuff. So it's like, it was wonderful.
Is that a habit that you picked up from like someone in your family?
What's that?
Like did you see that growing up? Like the being kind of picking up and stuff like that?
No, I honestly, it's like, that's not my family. They're hoarders, not hoarders. If you're watching this, you're not hoarders.
Yeah.
They're just.
That was my attempt at a segue.
I'm kind of a minimalist. Yeah, I'm a minimalist.
Yeah.
I think that's one thing I recommend to all my sponsees whenever they get out of a relationship is to like get rid of all your bedding.
Yeah. Oh,
and get
bedding.
new bedding. You know what I mean?
Oh.
They're like, oh, I slept on my new sheets.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
It feels so good. This new pillowcase. It's helped me.
That's
know?
it's crazy you're bringing that up because I got rid of all of my ex's pictures, and because of the way like iPhones work, they're like pictures hidden, and I keep getting these like notices like on this day last year. It's so dreadful. It's absolutely dreadful. Yeah, absolutely dreadful.
So get some new sheets.
I feel like this is well, did we all go? I don't want to.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like that's a nice segue to today's topic, which is relationships, chemistry, or formula. So for people just coming in who weren't listening in last week, we were talking about family, and the connection that we made to relationships is we pick up some bad and good habits from our family, and those things show up in relationships. So does someone want to explain why we said chemistry versus formula? We had that whole text message conversation. So where did it come from? I don't even remember who introduced it.
It was Kim's idea.
Because we kept adding things. We talked. I started with recipe, and somebody was brilliant said formula.
Oh,
Go ahead.
Yeah. Where did it come from?
I think it came from that. Sorry, I have to talk in the mic. That what is it? Okay, Cupid ad when we're.
Yeah.
Can we say foul language here? No.
Yeah, I mean I've said fuck a few times.
Like,
Please do.
DTF.
Oh yeah.
And then we started talking about formula, and then somebody was saying chemistry, and I'm like, which one is it?
Yeah.
Do you just have a chemistry? I was thinking, like, is there a chemistry like right away, like when you're attracted to someone?
Yeah.
Or is there like, I know at least for me now that I'm sober and I try to have like healthy relationships. Yeah. I kind of like have a little bit of like an ideal, and like I'm kind of working towards dating people who like are healthier. Okay. So that's like a formula. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I can't just count on my attraction, because my attraction is not going to always give me a good relationship material.
Especially when your picker's crap.
And you can't also just focus on the formula either, because you know, you can do all the right things, get yourself in the right place, find the right partner. But if there's no chemistry, like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's interesting though. But I do think that, like, I mean, at least for myself only, like, looking at a formula and trying to do it was hard, and I was not attracted to people like that. But I had to like practice being attracted.
What? Can you explain that? What do you mean?
I feel like, no, you go. You had a follow up. I feel like I don't want you to lose your thought.
What did you mean by formula? What was like, first off, what was the formula? And then what was the practicing being attracted to people?
Okay, like they had to be either like not actively using.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah.
Employed.
Oh,
like I
that's a good one.
Their main like
source of income.
Money, you know what I mean? Like had to have a decent relationship with the people they're close to.
Excellent.
You know what I mean? Like things like that.
Okay. What was the other part? The practicing being attracted to people.
Because for some reason, like, I don't know about you, but I can be attracted to somebody and not know anything about them.
Oh, word, yeah.
And then find out stuff about them.
Yeah.
And they're pretty normal. And somehow, like, at the beginning, that wasn't attractive.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't have enough going on. Like, I was attracted to the drama.
Yep. Oh my gosh. Yes, right there with you. And
that's where I'm like, I get like, ooh, a little tingly inside, you know?
And not just people, but like drama situations.
Yes.
And I've had to really learn that does not, that it's kind of like my old life, and that in the moment it creates something to focus on.
Yeah.
But in the long term, it's nothing substantial, real, or takes me anywhere that I genuinely desire going.
Yeah.
Because the drama is distracting. And
exactly.
And it's kind of like when I look at relationships that I see my friends engaging in, or just my family, even like how I grew up in a very chaotic and dramatic home, is it really was a convenient way to blame and then not have to look at yourself. Or like it was a cheap way to create intimacy. Like we're both fixated on this drama, but we're not having genuine intimacy or connection. Instead, we're just fixating on like kind of like people who used to use together. It's like, oh, they're my best friends. We have so much fun, but it's like really at the end of the day, you're connecting over nothing.
trauma bonding.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Trauma bonding, yeah.
It's that same relationship I had with my mother growing up, who was like, it was really intense and kind of toxic and enmeshed. And I thought that was like what it meant to like love or like somebody, and I would look for that.
Yeah.
But now I have different needs. You know what I mean? My needs, like, that's not going to like sustain me. I'm kind of like, it's too much drama.
Yeah. I really relate to this. For the longest time, I had a hard time placing people. And I remember I had this conversation with my therapist, and she divided it up like this, and it blew my mind. So she said, when you think about love and you think about God, where is that? So let's put that over here. And I was like dating this like totally, y'all know my story. I always date the wrong people. So she said, okay, but on this side, this is where you place so-and-so. Now when you're with so-and-so, where do you feel? Do you feel closer to God, or do you feel closer to this anxiety? Like blew my mind. So now when I date and I feel anxious, I don't like conflate that with romance, where once I did, yeah, I definitely sexualized anxiety.
Have you gotten to the place where you answer that question?
What?
Where the whole anxiety?
Man, like after my last relationship, I don't know what the hell is going on.
No,
and you can grow can grow and fall in love with someone, getting to know them for their authentic self. It might not have been like, immediate.
Yeah.
Well, I guess everyone talked kind of about being attracted to that drama and whatever. How do you get to a place where you get past that? Because it's just not a matter of saying, I don't want to do this. It's a matter of like, it's almost like, how we say we practice the principles and all of our affairs.
Yeah.
We do the work. Because you're not going to do it perfectly.
Yeah. So I want to add something to that question. It's a great question. I would argue that anxiety that like Kim is making fun of me. I don't know what her issue is. This is an audition, and so far, what?
I get you guys.
So far, Kim.
Okay.
So far, the ratings are going through the roof.
Yeah. So hold on. Okay. So you know how it's formula and chemistry, right? I would argue that anxiety is the chemistry portion, right? It's like whenever I see like two people in a relationship that doesn't work, that is a compatible relationship. You have two people who have shared vulnerabilities or shared traumas, and that's what makes that relationship work. Is there
another way to maybe phrase that? Because when you when you say anxiety, that's kind of maybe like I understand it's the fluttering, it's the butterfly, it's there's something that
Yeah. Well, to be fair, you're right, and I think this speaks to Kim's earlier point before we went on air of things being inaccessible. So when I say anxiety, what I'm talking about. So one, let's acknowledge that anxiety is a whole host of feelings and thoughts. Okay. Let's just acknowledge that. I don't know what the hell her problem is. Can we?
I know. Can you flip them up?
Yeah, maybe we need Lulu in the middle.
Yeah, I think you should sit on the other side. Now I've totally lost my point.
Why don't you just jump through time and space and come sit in my room? How about
that? Okay, so what I'm saying, and I'll end my thought here, is that I would argue that feeling from the butterflies to the feelings that we can't identify, that is the chemistry.
But it's also familiarity. You know what I mean? It's what we know.
Right, which would be the formula.
But that's the chemistry, but not necessarily the anxiety.
Exactly.
Right. So I wanted to say this earlier before we deviate too far from Lewis's question, is that obviously there's like gray area, right? It's not just formula and it's not just chemistry. Yeah. Right. So there's gray area. But let's say, wait, hold on. What was your question?
Well, I was saying it's like we start off attracted to this drama or whatever, especially those of us in recovery. How do we work at like getting past that? Because I mean, the reality of it is like there's going to be times where like I'm attracted to somebody and I don't know whether or not I'm attracted to them, because like newcomers, you see a newcomer come in and everybody's like, oh, that guy's hot, or basically that guy's not hot, his mess is hot, and we're attracted to that mess.
How do y'all two know when you're attracted to someone?
Yeah.
Yes, I do. I make all kinds of mistakes. I feel like I've learned so I've been working on this for a little over 7.5 years. And at year 4, I started really looking at my relationships because I was still feeling very isolated, and I started going to, different rooms, and it's like Bonnie Violet and I were talking about that you get sick and tired of being sick and tired of things kind of I accept, so I'll give it I statements. I accepted that I was the common denominator in my life in order to find recovery, that like my solution was drama, addiction, chaos, drugs, alcohol. But the issue was the relationship I had with myself. And so learning that, okay, if this is the pattern, and I'm wanting to stay sober, but also get better, like find more progress in my life, then what is going on? And where do I need to address things? And so for me, it was that I was constantly falling for emotionally unavailable people in friendships, in relationships. It's like the more you liked me, the less I felt like that didn't matter. What mattered was the person who didn't like me. What mattered was the person who was ignoring me. What mattered was and that was all. It all goes back to how I was raised and who raised me, and being able to say, okay, I have to take responsibility for this now, and practice the same way. I practice abstaining from these things the same way I did with drugs and alcohol. And it's not perfect, but it's definitely a lot better. And it's gone to the point now where I love this topic of chemistry and formula, because I feel like the formula is practicing this principles in all my affairs. Like being true to myself is the formula. Like if I'm not doing the things in my life that bring me peace and fulfillment, but also are keeping me authentic in all of the areas of my life, then it's going to start going down the rabbit hole really quickly. But like, I'm kind of powerless over chemistry in a way.
Yeah. Absolutely. When you say that you had to look at yourself, like when you were talking about those relationships, can you explain a little bit more about what you mean? Like, what is it about yourself that made those relationships possible?
So it's not that like I was this magnet of emotionally unavailable people. It's that emotionally unavailable people are always around us. And that's what that was what I was seeing. That's what I was getting fixated on. That's what I was choosing to pick up. And so that's when I had to look at, okay, what is this? And really it was truly believing that I was lovable, that I had things to offer, that I had value, that I could set boundaries, because I learned in my family, which was a very alcoholic and chaotic home, that love meant not having a self. That I had to completely push myself aside to be a doormat for, and basically parent my parents.
And that was love.
And that was love. And if I had any needs, that was selfishness.
I love this. I feel like we're at church because Fonda, sorry, Eric.
You call me Fonda. That's true too.
We're like, yeah, exactly.
Take it to church. Yeah. What you're
reminding page 86 in the big book, it says.
You're reminding me of how I'll speak for myself, but you're reminding me how I didn't realize I had certain like thoughts about myself, like unconscious thoughts about myself that I just wanted to kind of have reinforced, right? So there was a time I felt like I was a piece of shit. So I would enter into relationships with people who would remind me that I was a piece of shit, right? And it wasn't until, and I think this is what you're saying, and it wasn't until, like you said, that you were lovable. It wasn't until I got to a place where I'm like, oh, actually, I'm like worthy of being treated well. And I know what being treated well looks like because I've established these relationships in the fellowship where people are kind to me and they're loving and they're gentle. And so I'm like, oh, I like this feeling. I've never had this feeling before. I want to replicate this feeling in my intimate relationships.
I think
I was so uncomfortable for a long time, and like even still get uncomfortable with the idea of like putting myself out there, even in friendships. It's just getting a lot better. And this, the saying is if if it's not uncomfortable, then you're not doing it right.
No.
Yeah.
I always say
hate that.
if it's not tingling, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kim, what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say that, like, in having all those relationships is just like how I had such a chaotic life. You know what I mean? It's denial. It's avoidance of working on myself. You know what I mean? Like, while I'm doing that, I'm not like getting to know myself, getting to see if I can do like life without anybody, any distraction, and figure out who I really am, what I really like. I didn't really find out what I really liked sexually till I was able to be by myself.
Yep.
You know what I
I
mean?
don't know if you can say you're in recovery unless you go through like a hoe phase.
No, definitely.
I mean,
you're not in recovery.
I think I'm still there. You know what's interesting? Yeah, I was a late bloomer relationship wise and all that good stuff. And coming into recovery, like what I really appreciate is understanding that we're always in relationship. And while I may not be looking to get into a love relationship, I can still do the work. Just like saying, all the work that I'm doing now is around how I want to show up for me and how I want to show up for the people that I call them friends and family and what have you. And I realized that, you know, maybe that there'll be a bit of a shift for me, like, because I don't think I'll be that forever. I don't want to be a relationship person. Today, tomorrow may be different, but I get to model these relationships these intimate relationships that are, the
And that's attractive.
Yeah,
you know
no,
what I mean?
That's so sexy.
Yeah.
There's nothing sexier than self-care.
Yeah.
You ever see someone who's like taking care of themselves and it looks like they love themselves? There's something absolutely, well, now there's something really magnetic about that. Yeah.
And then people are like, you're intimidating. I'm like, am I intimidating or are you intimidated?
Ooh, wow. Boo, boo, boo.
It's
Shots
like,
fired. Yeah. That's so very good. Eric, you said something. Oh, Kim, were you going to say something?
No, I was just thinking of something.
Oh, what was it?
No, nothing.
Well, sure.
Go ahead. No,
okay,
no.
you can't think. Okay, so
Kim had a little thought bubble.
there was a thought bubble. Eric, you said something that I wanted to circle back to because it's where I'm at now. So you were talking about, and Kim, you just said this too about Kim, why are you smiling at me like that? I can't right now.
I can't smile.
You can. So you were talking about being distracted, right? So one of the things, we're going to circle back to my breakup until I'm over it. So one of the things that's made my current,
do it. You know,
well, let me explain. So one of the things that I think has made this breakup so hard for me and so devastating is that I am refusing to allow myself the outs that I had before. Right. And I've tried them and I can't do it. Right. Which is why I'm in another program. Kim, what is going on? Okay. So the outs are, for example, like hooking up, jumping into another relationship, like jumping at like anything, like it could be porn, it could be food. So I haven't been allowing myself, or rather those things don't work for me anymore. Right. They don't work. And so what I'm forced to do, what I get to do, to use program language, is I get to have those fucking feelings. And that is the part that is the thing I truly think, Eric, which is what you made me think of, is like, I truly think that the reason why it hurts as much as, of course, there's the situation, but there's also, I think I've been avoiding feeling this for such a long time. Yeah, the denial, the loneliness. Is that what you meant by denial?
Yeah.
That was really insightful. I didn't know that's what you meant.
Yeah, I think
you thought that Kim was coming for you, and she
she was talking about what you were saying. I was in denial.
No, like most of us are in denial when we do that. Like
a denial about what?
Denial about
the
like
feelings,
what we have to walk through. There's no other way to get like to that other point.
Yeah.
Besides through it.
That's so real.
It's so hard, and I've tried every way to get around it.
Same.
I've tried every app. I'm like, maybe it's on this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, Anthony, I want to encourage you because you said this is the first time you're allowing yourself to feel this, to be gentle with yourself.
Yeah.
Because now it's like, this is, I feel like every day from a certain point, I was a new day.
Yeah.
This is the longest of my adult life that I've been sober.
Yeah.
And so this is brand new. Whether or not it doesn't look new, it's brand new.
Yeah.
And so I get to stumble through this and be a little messy until I figure out exactly how it is that I want to walk through this. I want to walk through it with as much grace as possible, but
not you know what? Sorry, go ahead.
What I was telling you too, remember when we were talking this weekend?
In the car?
Yeah.
Oh man, I've had that playing in my head.
Like I wouldn't want to be that person I was before I decided to walk through that long, painful process of like feeling my feelings. Like I wouldn't want to be back there. Still looking for another person to like.
Another hostage.
You know, another.
I mean, I feel like it gets to a point in recovery where you have two choices. You know, it's always that line in the book where it's like, pick up spiritual tools or go on to the bitter end, blotting out, you know, the intolerableness. And like every single one of these character defects, which contributes obviously to, because everything, like I loved how you said everything's in relation, like that's just a given, you can't change that. It's like it would get to a point where I either had to grieve and crack open or give up on my recovery. Like that's literally what, and so as an alcoholic and an addict, that's one of the things that I know I'm an alcoholic and an addict still after all these years, is because I literally always end up at those two options. Like that I have to literally be crying uncle before I'm like, oh, maybe it's this.
Oh yeah.
That's me and sugar.
I think a big part of it too is like you have to be really clear on what it is that you're seeking, because I think oftentimes we go to partners to get needs met that they have no business meeting. Like that's not their role. One of the things that a sign of progress for me happened in the beginning of the pandemic. I was dating somebody. We hadn't actually ever met in person, but we kept like planning on getting together. And then we were like, no, that's not responsible. You shouldn't do that, you know? And then finally, like by the time we both knew that if we didn't actually meet, this was never going to happen. And then I had a friend of mine die. And I was like, not in a position really to show up. Like I could have went and like tried to feel better, or, you know, and kind of distract myself, or I even could have went and asked him to like hold me and comfort me and all that. But like, he wasn't that person for that, you know? And so it was really cool for me to just have a moment of like, no, like that's not where I need to go to get what I need right now. And I had to do that for myself. And I was like, oh shit, who is this girl? Like, because I've never been me before. I would have been over at his house getting laid. You know, like
that's like the honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness that we need. You know what I mean? To like have a spiritual program, we have to be like willing to just like be by ourselves for a second.
I have a question for the group. Here's a question.
Wow, that's serious.
Well, no, because I was inspired by what Bonnie Violet said, right? So can we then enter into a relationship as complete beings, or do we have to have some kind of lack in order to make it happen?
We just enter as a whole. I mean, whole person.
A whole person, including flaws, including that. Like the idea that and I think that's the part, like the moment I keep it's like I keep trying to figure it out, right? That's me running the show, and I have to learn that. And I'm always doing, I'm like trying to figure out the career, trying to figure out who I need to be sober, or what my life should look like at 7.5 years. And it's like I have to remain teachable. Like these are like 7 years has been really uncomfortable also because of the pandemic. But like I was literally telling Bonnie Violet over the weekend, and I had no idea this was even the topic of the show. I was like, man, I think I'm ready to like try to have a real relationship, because I was in relationships before, but they weren't like real ones. They were hostage situations. And I'm like, I think I'm ready for a real relationship. And then she was like, that's so funny, that's this show. But it's like I used to think I had to be perfect to be in a relationship or have all of this awareness. And I think what I've really begun to see modeled in the people who are in relationships, especially going to Al-Anon meetings and stuff, it's like, it's about accepting that we're both flawed. It's about understanding that we're not done. It's about two people coming together and deciding to try. And to like support each other in their weaknesses and love each other in their strengths. And it sounds really ideal, right? Until you owe an amends. But I think knowing that though, that like that's the guidepost. It's like, am I being supportive or am I being critical? Am I wanting this person to be something that they're not, or am I accepting them for who they are? Am I wanting them to fix something in me, or do I need to work on this myself? It's like, I think you just need to show up to relationships with self-awareness, you know, a commitment to self-awareness.
What Bonnie said before is like knowing, like all of that. And then what's even more important is knowing what it is that you need. Because if you're trying to get that, you're trying to squeeze blood from a rock, it's not going to happen. So it's like if you are, and this is something that I notice happens a lot in the queer community, specifically with gay men. Like you want to have someone to cuddle with, but you go on a site and hook up with somebody who wants sex, and you're shocked and surprised that they're not understanding, and vice versa. So it's like,
well, I don't want to make any generalizations about gay men, but that's definitely been my experience for sure. Yeah, I wanted to toss. If people are listening
in here.
Well, I just wanted to toss that question out to anyone listening. And you know, do you think that you can be complete entering into a relationship, or do you have to have some type of lack? So I'm going to pose that to anyone who might be listening in.
I've always been a complete mess.
We've been having so much fun chatting here, whatever. I totally almost forgot that we had listeners. Hi. So if you're joining us, it's like David says 3 years in, and as far as I've come, and as hard as I've worked, I still can sometimes find comfort in the old familiar patterns of chaos, unmanageability, drama, dysfunction, whatever it may be. But I stay sober. Gratitude for that progress. Maybe the rest will come all in God's time. We'll see. And first off, David, I need to compliment you on being able to type all that with one hand. I love you, David.
Eric, you said real relationship, and I noticed that none of us went back to like, what is a real relationship? So I'm interested in what that means. Like, what is a real relationship?
What isn't a real relationship?
Let me explain.
My question's for Eric. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Right.
Look, all relationships have taught me something. I guess what I mean is by that, like a real relationship is where I'm not scared to be vulnerable, where I'm showing up real, because it was never, I can't judge that other person. Like I can't, especially like looking back in the past and all that, like I have to clear my wreckage. I have to clear my side of the street. And what I can say is I showed up the best that I could in those relationships, but I was showing up kind of in that selfish and self-centered way of trying to either prove the demons wrong, like I am good enough, or if this person that, you know, like, or if they only treated me this way, or why am I not good enough for this person? Like I was in a relationship with my dis-ease and putting that person's face on it. And I'm at a point now where when I say that, what I mean is like, I'm ready to show up and try to be in like intimacy. Like I'm ready to show up and try to try to connect with that person and let that person in a way that I haven't before. So I guess what I mean by real relationship is I'm ready to show up and be real in relationships.
I love that. Bunny Violet, were you going to say something? I thought I saw her.
I probably was going to say something, but I was listeing. I don't have anything to say now.
Oh, we have another comment coming.
Yeah, Stephen Kling says, LOL, no, not complete at all. Finding someone who can add to or complement my life would be an ideal, but a person comes with their own shit, and we can choose to accept them for how they be or not, how they are. I would say it's like, if you're able to release somebody to be, that's one thing, you know, but you also, Stephen Kling, no, but you also have to, like, there's some people that I just cannot accept that from them, and that's okay. I get it. And the onus is for me to kind of step away and not for them to kind of change. You know, I don't need to change anybody. I just need to say, yeah, this is not what I need.
Yeah. Thank you, Stephen, for that. Yeah. So then I have a follow-up question. Bonnie Violet said something.
Barbara
do we have 10 minutes left?
Yes.
Exactly. Well, because I've been listening to the podcast, and I go home and I'm like, why didn't anyone ask? Because there are things that I want to know. Okay. So weeks ago, Brandon's laughing at me. Weeks ago, Bonnie Violet, do you remember the episode on gratitude? Do you remember this? Okay. And you said something that I thought was very insightful. And you said that sometimes, I'm paraphrasing, you said sometimes people don't have the language to know how they're feeling. Right?
Bonnie's brilliant.
Yeah, Bonnie is brilliant. Bonnie is brilliant. The B is for brilliant. And so
it's the rhinestones.
Yeah, it's the crystals, the quartz.
I think it's the brain.
It's the zodiac Pisces. So the connection I'm making is that, Eric, you talked about self-awareness, and it's like, the question is like, how do you know that you have self-awareness? Like, I don't know what my blind spots are. So I don't know what things I know about myself. And normally it's in hindsight, or if I'm in therapy. And in fact, the majority of like the insight that I have into myself has come from therapy or from, step work or something like that.
You have too much self-awareness.
You think I have too much self-awareness?
I'm just teasing.
I feel like it takes it's a couple of things. One is it's practice by humbling yourself to the process of the step work and really the personal inventory, like being honest with yourself, and finding a sponsor that you trust to like hold up that mirror for you, because it says having had a spiritual awakening. And for me, what that means is like to be able to say to thine own self be true, to know what that self is, that created self, that self that I did not choose, but have been created to be like, and then the commitment is to continue this work, to hang on and to develop that person that was underneath all of that. And it's taken Al-Anon, it's taken several trips around the AA sun in terms of, 1 through 12. And it's taken a lot of mistakes. It's taken a lot of hurt to be like, okay, to be able to develop that recognition of when it's me, but also when it's not me. And like that's part of the 9th step too, is to really know what my part is and to give back what's not my part.
Well, and like just to take a little further our conversation, we've been kind of talking about like how do we get into the relationship, and I think one thing that's really important is how do we stay in the relationship in like a good way.
I thought you were going to say how do we get out of the relationship.
Right. No, well, like I remember I was in this relationship.
Maybe
I was in this relationship in recovery, and it was really cute, and then we got it go. He had all the things. He had tattoos. He played the cello. He had a French bulldog. But anyway, like we started having problems, and I began to focus on how to fix us instead of like focusing on me. And I think that's something that we do in a lot of relationships, is we start focusing on us and our relationship instead of me focusing on me, so that I could bring the best me to the room. And I was surprised that my boyfriend at the time called me out on it. He said, he's like, you are half-assed in this relationship. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I am trying so hard to get us to work out. And I was like, no, you're right. I'm totally half-assing it because I'm focused on us instead of focused on me.
Ooh, triggering. So we have 5 minutes left. What are we doing with there's just so much.
We say our goodbyes, I guess, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. Well, we normally like, I think that we're going to have this conversation. We're going to have to
part 2,
a follow-up of part 2 to.
Well, yeah, there's honestly, there's just so much. But the one thing that I was thinking while we were talking is that like, I always talk to my sponsees about this idea of like the fact that you have awareness now is the most important part of this process. It doesn't mean that you do anything perfect, but you have awareness that it is an issue. And I think that the way we get awareness is by having these conversations, that we continue to have these conversations. So we're ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
So this is a good thing. But I want you all to know that if you need to reach me or see any of my lovely pictures, you can always go to LouisLou86 on Instagram. And you can send me messages. I will respond to you, but I want you to know that, I love you. Yeah.
Right. And you can reach me at a queer chaplain on all the things. I also just want to put out in the universe that 2022, I'm going to like play with some romantic relations. It's happening.
Love
I'm ready.
Happening.
I can't say that yet, but I can't say that yet, but I really, I'm going to like live vicariously through you too.
She's ready. She's got the boobies are coming in and she's ready.
And
Eric, how about you? Where can folks find you?
Yes, you can find me on Instagram at FKDrag for Fonda Cox. That's my drag persona. And I, again, also happy to connect and talk all things.
Are you willing to have people slide into your DMs?
They can slide into my DMs. They can slide in my Venmo, which is the same handle. And we can discuss business. Okay.
Venmo, come through Venmo. How about you, Kim? Do you have a place?
But I can give you the 3 A's of Eleanor.
What are they?
They're awareness. Awareness, acceptance, and then action. Think about that.
Yeah.
What are the 3 C's? Pop quiz.
The 3
I don't
C's.
have
Let's
them.
see. It's I know controlling for sure.
No, Castro Country Club.
I didn't control it, and you can't cure it.
Yeah.
You didn't cause it, you can't control it, and you can't cure it, but you have choices.
So and Anthony,
Always have
I still don't have social media.
but like I said,
I
it's
do
like
not.
You can always sign up for
On Christian Mingle.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
I guess.
Just go to 18th and Castro and just yell out for Anthony.
Exactly. Thank you all for this wonderful conversation. I want to remind everybody that the Castro Country Club is a sober gathering place for all people and a home for the queer recovery community.
That's right.
Located in the heart of the Castro district in San Francisco. We endeavor to be a space where all can seek wisdom, serenity, courage, and joy. And you will find more information at www.castrocountryclub.org.
And we'd really love to hear from you via our Speak Pipe. So
Still can't with that name. Go ahead.
We didn't make up the name. We're just using it. So reach out to our pipe. The link is in the description. And what you can do there is you can leave us a cute little voicemail. Tell us how rad we are. Tell us how rad we aren't. Tell us what you'd like us to talk about. And we can then use that potentially in an up and coming show. So.
Absolutely. And go ahead. And look for us anywhere you might look for at the CCC, anywhere you might listen to podcasts, your favorite podcast stores, Spotify, Apple, all the places.
And join us live. Join us live each week on Tuesday night at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, live on YouTube and Facebook at the Castro Country Club.
Yeah.
Well done.
Also, I think I don't know if it's included, but you can email us at podcast.castrocountryclub.org.
Damn, we have.
We also want to remind you that
places.
none of us that we are not ambassadors for any one particular program.
Yeah.
We only share our experiences.
I represent no one but myself.
Exactly. We only share our experience based on.
And I barely do that.
And
exactly.
Agreed.
I
think David.
Do the best that I can, but remember. Like, share, and comment, and all of that good stuff. And have a lovely week. And we'll see you next week.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here.
We'll
We'll have to have you again.
Yeah.